Let me tell you guys what, this episode of the Old Boy Podcast is one you do not want to miss. We have my man, Uncle Lazer, joining us, social media sensation turned comedian, former oil field worker. I will tell you what, Uncle Lazer, he crushed it on this episode of the Old Boy Podcast. We talked about his start. We talked a little bit about the oil fields. We talked about how he got into social media. Amazingly cool story there. And then how that led into comedy. And Old Boy didn't go in the shallow end. He jumped right off in the deep end. First time on stage was Kill Tony. So that was pretty interesting. But the discussion was really, really awesome. I think you guys will truly enjoy it just as much as I did. Take care.
Man, you hear that? Look at here. They're coming. They're coming. We're going to have a party. I'm talking good on barbecue.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another edition of the Old Boy Podcast. I'm your host, Chad Ward. And today, I know you guys have been waiting on this one. We are joined by Uncle Lazer. Definitely an old boy. Lazer, good to have you on, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me, Olson. I literally woke up 5 minutes ago and tried to scramble to download this app. I'm a piece of shit, so that's on me. My bad.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. You fucking, hey, comedians, brother, you live by the night. You know what I mean? Gotta sleep. Hey, just because we decided 1 o'clock, maybe that's an overlook on my part. I need to understand the business. Book that fucking shit a little later.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, hey, great to have you on. And like I was telling you a little bit before we started, I was, in preparing for our discussion, I've followed all your stuff. I love your content. We're going to talk about some wrestling shit in a bit too, because I feel like we grew up during that same attitude era and enjoyed wrestling during that bullshit and all that fun stuff. But one thing I learned was, I thought you were a comedian and then were using social media, obviously, to promote your comedy. But it's actually the other way around. So let's kind of go back a little bit, because you've only really been doing this full time for less than 2 years. So I know you're from Texas. Talk a little bit about where you're from and what was like the day job before this became work.
So I was, I'm from a little small village about 2 hours south of Houston. Okay. I went to community college for half a semester, cause I'm not real good at that, but, I got to the oil field when I was 19 and, I worked my way up, and by the end of it, I was directional drilling for ConocoPhillips and like all throughout New Mexico, the West Texas Permian Basin and shit like that. And, basically how it happened, I've always been pretty outlandish and funny. I love, center of attention at a party type shit. But I played at the time, it was right before the pandemic started. At the time, I just had a private Facebook and a Snapchat, and a boy that I used to play travel baseball with back in the day, in high school baseball with, he's like, man, send me these Snapchat videos. I'm going to make you a TikTok. And I said, I don't know what the fuck that means, but let's do it. All right. And like what it was, I remember, I'll never forget, I got off of work at like 6 p.m. and I went on a jog. I would jog like a couple miles when I get off of work. And I remember I'm on the lease road in the middle of New Mexico, and I make this video about when Miley Cyrus said everybody in line for the bathroom, trying to do lines in the bathroom. I felt that because I do drugs, but I'm quitting, but it's summer, so we'll see, And it basically I did this stupid ass, like little vlog thing. It was like a minute 30. And I seen it to him when I got done running. I showered, I went to bed. And when I got up in the morning, 6 a.m. to go to work, he'd like blown my phone up when he was getting ready. He's like, dude, look at the video. It had like 8 million views and I had 60,000 followers overnight. My first video ever posted. And it's just like, what the fuck is happening? I had to change I had my actual real name on my TikTok time, but my videos were like, they're like sexual innuendos to single mothers and drug references. I'm like, if HR gets a hold of this, they're going to fire my ass. So then I had to come up with the name Uncle Lazer.
Yes. That's fucking hilarious. It's crazy though how some of these social accounts start just like that, right? Just being yourself, fucking off, getting it out there, and it just fucking trends with people. It's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy how that algorithm, it shit scares the hell out of me. But yeah, it worked out to my advantage. And then one thing kind of snowballed to another. I used to date this witch a long time ago, and she tried to stab me with her.
You wouldn't believe this, Lazer, but this is the second witch reference on the Old Boy Podcast. The first one was Bryce Mitchell coming on. You know Bryce Mitchell, UFC fighter?
Yeah, the UFC, great guy. Yeah.
So Bryce came on, and I was asking him where he found his devotion for the Lord, and he said he fucked a witch which then got possessed by a demon and would not leave his house for 2 or 3 days until he asked the Lord to leave it. So just want to let you know,
Really?
not the first witch reference, but the second one.
Well, she didn't put no demon on. She put a spell on me. She gave me a UTI once. That was great. You know what I'm saying? But no, dude, one night she undercooked the chicken, and I was like, hey, we can't eat that. You've undercooked that. She goes, I like my chicken rare. I was like, that's not such a thing. It's a rare chicken. I said, that's how you get fucking salmonella, Jessica. What are we doing? Let's try to stab me with a knife when I was sleeping later tonight. Anyways, but long story short, a buddy of mine had a birthday party down here in Austin. We went out one evening. It was on a Sunday. And we went to this place called Latchkey, this bar down in East 6. And we walked in. I've been playing music my whole life. I've been playing harmonica since I was like 12. And I walked in and the band was really good. And I know when it ain't just like playing good songs. I'm like, these boys are tight. And I was like, damn, this band's really good. And she's like, well, I used to fuck the lead singer. I used to date the guitar player. I was like, I hate this band very much. I hope they get on a car accident on their way home, But then later, a couple days later, a buddy of mine, Ellis Bullard, was playing in New Braunfels where I was living at the time. And they just happened to be opening for him. And I went up to the bar and I started drinking whiskey with the lead singer. We hit it off, exchanged Instagrams. Well, they, at the time, I don't know if you're familiar with Kill Tony, Tony Hinchcliffe. So at the time, Kill Tony had just moved to Austin and they were performing at the Vulcan. They weren't performing at Rogan's Mothership Club yet because it wasn't finished being built. And after the Kill Tony show, they would be the after party band that would play for everybody because everybody used to stay after the show and hang out and shit. There was a real cool vibe. And he's like, man, we would be doing silly shit on the internet together. And he's like, man, dude, you should come meet Hinchcliffe. He's like, I think you'd be good at this little stand-in. So the first time I got on Kill Tony, the very first time I was pulled, that was the first time I'd ever been on stage ever doing stand-up comedy.
No
ever.
shit. On like the largest fucking live podcast in the world.
And honestly, at that time, I had no idea what the fuck it was. And honestly, I think looking back now, had I known the severity of how big it was and what it was, I think I would have clammed up and wouldn't have done it. But I just look, dude, I just throw bad dick at good people and hope it sticks. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's just where I'm at in life,
That's crazy. So at that time, I mean, obviously you kind of get thrown into it. So you're not really like working material at the time, right? You're just kind of being yourself and just fucking off the cuff, right? Or am I got that wrong?
So no, you're exactly right. What it was, dude, I was just firing from the hip. You know what I'm saying? And it was only eventually you run out of fucking bullets. You know what I'm talking about? So it took me, the first couple of appearances. Because looking back now, I can't even really watch them because I just see you got to watch yourself back in comedy. It's like watching film if you play sports. You got to see what works. What pops right there. Well, back then, dude, I was dog shit. It was cringy. Like watching it back, I'm like, God damn, I was terrible. But I had enough charisma and good hair to get me by. But I was like, at one point, I'm like, dude, if I'm going to quit my job and go out on the road, I can't give people a dog shit product. Yes. I really have to start writing. It's a difference between being funny in the garage or funny at a party than it is being funny on stage. It's structurally different. It's formatted different. And it just took me a little bit of time. And every day I'm learning. Like I don't ever stop learning how to be, good at stand-up. It's just, it took me a minute to understand because I was just thrusting. Because instead of eating dicks at a coffee shop, at an open mic in front of 7 people that don't want to be there, I'm eating dicks in front of 200 people at a secret show, Red Band show. And I'm just like, oh, I'm doing great. No, dude, I was trash. It's trash.
And these are comedy fucking people. Like these people know about secret shows. Like these are people that consume comedy because they fucking like comedy. They're not there getting tuned up before they go to the fucking club. These are people that they love comedy and they're there. And you've got to me, what I've learned, and obviously never done stand up, but like in teaching barbecue or places where, there's 100 fucking people looking at you, expecting you to do something for them. I'm a very fast talker anyway. So I would just fucking talk faster, which is the worst thing, you want to do because you get through your material quicker and nobody can understand half the shit you said. So as I got a little bit better and more reps, I realized it's cadence. And fucking sometimes quiet and pause is your best friend. Yes.
Sitting in silence. A lot of people are scared of the silence. They think they're bombing. But honestly, silence means they're listening, right? So it's how you take it. But you're right with it's rhythmic, right? It's a cadence. It's a timing. It's like sitting in sometimes I'll sit in a pause and do like goofy ass facial expressions, and just that in itself is more powerful than the joke. It like emphasizes the joke, the punchline even harder.
Yep.
And there's little things you pick up. You're like, every day sometimes I find some of the best like, because this is the thing, I played music my whole life, and you can practice, by yourself. You can practice with your band. Now you can practice stand-up comedy. You can write that joke and you can say it in the fucking mirror. But until you get on stage in front of a live audience, you will not know how it will be reciprocated. You will not know where your points of contact are actually. Sometimes the parts of tags that I thought would be the funniest got crickets. And then just transitional shit I said, like off the cuff shit, got the best pop. So then I'm like, all right, got to write that down. Got to keep that one, you know?
Yep. Well, and the other part too is when you look out there, and you can rehearse that shit all day, but then when you start reading people's body language, right? You like you said, you're onto this one where you're like, dude, this is a killer. This is one of my top 3. You know what I mean? Or like for me in a barbecue side, like I'm talking about brisket, motherfuckers. Y'all should be interested. This is brisket. This is all the shit y'all always fucking ask about. Oh, I got this guy over here checking his phone. I got this guy fucking checking out the dude next to, like, what the fuck's going on? Like, then you start questioning yourself, right? Like, dude, this is supposed to be what you're here for, and you guys are, looking off this and that. Like, how do you bring it back?
Yeah. And not to go off topic, but with the barbecue shit, I'm going to be honest with you real quick. So it wasn't until I was about 18 years old until I got out on my own that you could cook a steak not well done. Okay.
Dude.
See, my daddy and them would pick up dead deer off the side of the road, and they take that meat home and they bleach that meat and they'd have to burn it to a crisp. But we had groceries for a month. You know what I'm saying? So I've been eating ketchup with my steak my entire life because I didn't want it to taste like a fucking rubber boot. You know what I'm talking about?
Dude, I got one for that. This is a great tangent. So I was the same way, man. I grew up in a just well done family. And didn't know any different, So I go down, probably I'm 14, 15 years old, go down to my buddy's house. We're riding 4-wheelers and shit. Well, his dad's a beef farmer. And so he's like, dude, Chad, why don't you stay for dinner tonight? I'm like, yes, sir, man, I'm on it. And he goes, I'm cooking steaks. How do you want yours? I said, man, I'll take mine well done. He said, I'll cook you a fucking hamburger. And I said, what? I said, what do you mean, Mr. Waters? He's like, I'm not wasting one of my good fucking steaks off my cow for well done. And I said,
man.
And I said, okay. I said, I'll have mine the way you have yours then. And man, that shit was like a good rare to medium rare, bro.
Perfect.
I took that first fucking bite, and it was like, I'm fucking filing charges against I filed charges against my parents for fucking child abuse, bro. Fuck that. But dude, there is something about, so that's even to the point now, like we've got t-shirts here, Whiskey Bin BBQ, that like say, don't kill it twice. Like I'm a firm believer.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good.
But no, I'm glad you put us on that tangent.
Well, dude. Yeah, dude. And so, hell yeah.
The other thing I found interesting, I watched one of the, and I don't know where it fell in your Kill Tony timeline, but it was when it may have been the first one. It was when you were trying to get a regular spot. You and there was another guy. So like he did his minute, then you did your minute. It was the
Hans.
one.
Yeah, when I battled Hans. Yeah, that was shit. That was. Yeah,
early,
that's probably
right?
over a year ago. Yeah, it was early. It was like my 5th or 6th appearance.
Yeah, and what I found by was it to me, like it showed what that's all about, right? Like you didn't get through the whole joke in the minute, but then after the guys got done busting your balls, were like, hey, here's what I would have done. I'd have maybe got cut this and got to this quicker. It was a good like feedback loop, which I thought was kind of cool because you have to have a certain skin. To me, it seems like to be an effective comedian. You got to be able to take feedback. You got to be able to eat shit, right?
Well, yeah. You gotta. So when I first got into it, a buddy of mine that I go out on the road with, he's like, man, you got to be a sponge, right? You don't have to take everything from everybody, but always be available to soak up as much game as you can. And you can dictate from there how you choose and pick what levels of that you'll implement in your own comedy. But the thing about Kill Tony is like I grew up with Rodney Carrington and Ron White and the Blue Collar Comedy. So I've always been more of a storyteller type comedy, where some guys are a lot of tag, punch, set up, punch, tag, and it's jokes per minute. Now, the Kill Tony format is a minute. But the thing about that is, on the flip side of that, like that may not be necessarily my style. I'm more of a long format. You give me 10 minutes, I can go up against anybody. You know what I'm saying? Because then I have time, and in my hour, I can go on tangents, elaborate, like the way that Dane Cook used to go off in tangents, like while he'd tell a joke. It's kind of like that style. But Then I seen Ron White actually do a minute on Kill Tony, and I saw, like, I know that's not his format in his long hour version, but I saw that muscle he was able to flex in that minute and write a minute joke. So it's just a different muscle to flex when you're writing for stand. It's like, all right, I've got a minute. That's all I got. So I've got to trim all this fat and put more punches in it. And it took me, as you see, like kind of the recent ones that have come out, you can see the transition from, man, he's getting too long-winded in the mouth. Like he's taking too long to get to the funny part. And now it's like, I say something off the, like, just fucking shock and awe at the very first line. Like, are we sure almond milk ain't making everybody trans? You know what I'm saying?
The almond milk one was fucking awesome.
Because dude, that almond milk joke is my granddaddy called me one morning, and that's the first thing he says to me on the phone. And I said, "Hey, happy Easter to you too, granddaddy. It seems like you're walking around the pasture again. You ain't take your medicine. Go get grandma. Get your ass back in the house." That's a 9-minute joke. That's a 9-minute joke that I have to cut down into a minute, and that's fucking hard to do. Yeah. But it's just about repetition and get in that vein of like, oh, that's why I got a lot of respect for William Montgomery, because William Montgomery's been the longest running regular for like 5-6 years. And every week he writes out, I think he writes it on Sunday or Saturday, gets it dialed, and then runs it, and he never misses. And he's calculating and meticulous on how he does it. And it's just a different muscle, but it's very cool to see the different avenues of comedy.
Well, and I almost feel like too, like you it probably gives you a feeling too, like even if it's not your style, if you could fucking kill in a minute, like the confidence that gives, right? Like, if I'm doing 45 an hour, but I can kill in a minute, now I can actually do what I like. I can stretch it a little bit and still get all those laughs and all that love. If I can do it in a minute, I can damn sure do it in 45 to an hour.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it just, they're different veins, because if it's your writing style, some guys write great for that. I write more. I got to have time to paint a picture, because 99% of the shit I'm saying in my jokes is actual stories that have happened to me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't write from, okay, let me sit down and write this novel out. I write from a place of experience. Like, you can tell, like, hey, that boy's probably been exactly where he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? So it's a cool avenue. But see, like, if you notice in the earlier sessions on the Kill Tony episodes I was on, when I get to the interview, that's easy to me, because that's me and a homie in the garage bullshitting back and forth. When me and Tony would feed off each other, that's easy. I could do that in my fucking sleep. But it's the minute part where it took me a minute to understand, hey, I've got to write that out. I can't just say a bunch of shit real fast off the cuff from the hip without actually having like a structured set. So
No, totally get it. That's it's interesting to watch. It's fun. Would you say now? I mean, because you're based at Austin now, right? Is that where you're at? Would you say that has now became, like, it's got to be one of the top comedy homes now, right? Like,
I mean, I'd say it is. I mean, I've been in LA, and I look, LA is a different and a cool, different type of vibe. It's a different thing. But the thing about, I'll put it to you like this. So the other night I was performing in Chicago, a weekend in Chicago, right? And I've got a friend out there. She's a comic. She travels with me when I'm up in that area. And I had my shows Friday through Sunday, and then I was going to fly out Tuesday. So Monday night, she's like, yo, let's go hit a couple open mics. She goes, when's the last time you hit an open mic? I was like, never, I was like, because the way I view things, and like, I didn't come from this theater world. I would have never dreamed of being a stand-up comic. I just kind of literally fell into this shit. So like, I always viewed open mics. I've been to a couple, and I'm like, dude, you're telling jokes, you're running new shit in front of a crowd of 10 or 20 that really don't even want to fucking be there. Half of them are comics, and comics don't listen to comics. So even if you say something relevant or you say something funny, you don't get the correct positive feedback that lets you know, oh shit, that works. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think an open mic just gives you the ability to stand on stage and say the cadence. You find your cadence on it, but that's not necessarily find the funny. But so we went and did open mics in Chicago. We hit 7 open mics. Each open mic was 20 minutes apart from each other. All right. So we had to drive every spot. In Austin, there's a 10-block radius downtown where you can hit 10 different comedy spots in walking distance. And everybody that's flocking and coming here, dude, there's straight killers out here. There's murderers, and iron sharpens iron. So you have no choice but to get better at it if you want to get stage time.
Yeah, no, it's and I guess for me, I didn't know Austin had the comedy, background it did until Joe opened the mothership, right? I feel like it just put this huge spotlight on comedy in Austin. And then obviously, as I just started toiling a little bit more, I'm like, oh shit, this club's been there that long. This club's been there that long. You know what I mean? Like it already had a comedy backbone. It just needed some more growth.
That big push.
Yep.
Yeah, that big push. Because hell, Shane Gillis did one of his specials at Creek and Cave, like my home club.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's been out here, but when you put a spotlight like Joe Rogan and the Comedy Mothership, the best comedy club in the world, when you put a spotlight on that, like, hey, people, dude, we've got people from all over the world flocking here. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I've heard so many people talk about. I'm looking forward to getting out of Joe's place in September, but everybody I've talked to that's been is like, man, it's unreal. Like just it, kind of like it was built with the audience in mind, but also with the comics in mind, with all the different rooms and how they're laid out, and just from everybody that's told me, it's just very thoughtful and a very fun place to go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. And it's right downtown. So when you leave, after the show, there's bars galore there. A lot of homeless, a lot of shit on the street. There's a lot of that happening. And I went out to LA and they got homeless. They got a lot of homeless. But our weather down in Texas, it turns our homeless into mutants. I saw a man stand up sleeping yesterday. It was crazy, and they're all wearing pit vipers and they got PayPal. So if you don't have any cash, they're like, hey, just scan my QR code. I'm like, get the fuck away from me, dude.
Dude, that is one thing. And look, I understand with homeless, there's 100 different reasons why. And some of them are valid, some aren't. But dude, there's so many fucking jobs right now. Like, if you really want it, go fucking get it. You know what I mean?
Well, look, dude, I was eating the other day at this little wing spot, and this guy walked by the little outside seating I was at. He said, hey, man, whenever you get finished, if you mind just not throwing those away, I'll pick off the meat, off some of the bones. That I'm going to give you $1. If you're willing to do some shit like that, he's in a tight spot here, man. So I went ahead and just ordered him 8 wings. I went ahead and just ordered him wings because if a man's going to eat the chicken leftovers on my bone that I just ate, that man's hurting. I'll show a little empathy for that. But if you are my age, you got a fucking dog with you in a bicycle and you're wearing pit vipers, you're just fucking lazy. You're not homeless. You're just fucking lazy. You're able-bodied. Fuck you. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
I totally get it, dude. That's a fucking statement though. Just leave them bones there. I'll pick them dry, old boy. Damn.
Yeah.
That's a hunger pain there. All right, guys. Proud sponsor of the show, 5-9 Whiskey. You will see me enjoying this from time to time during the podcast. It is delicious, smooth. I've shared it with a ton of friends, and all they want to know is, where can I get it? Built for the tradesman that's put in that long day's work, and when it's over, they want to sit down with a nice whiskey, enjoy those wins from the day, and get ready for the next one. Where can you get it? 5-9 Whiskey. That's spelled out, 59whiskey.com. Don't forget about the promo code, enter Old Boy Podcast for 15% off. What's touring been like for you?
Man, it's wild, dude. Look, so, the past 13 years of my life, I was in the middle of the damn desert, drilling holes in the ground in the middle of nowhere. It's like New Mexico, Hives, Carlsbad, Jowl area. That's where dreams go to die. I don't know why people go out there. It's terrible. But, for a big portion of my life, all my 20s, I would spend anywhere from a month to 2 months at a time on a drilling rig and living on location in a trailer house with, other guys. And so people ask me like, man, you get tired of the traveling? You're always traveling. I was like, dude, honestly, I don't, because I've spent a lot of my life wasting my time away in the desert. So getting to see all these places, getting to meet all these cool people, I noticed, like, growing up, like, I've always been fascinated with rock and roll bands, like the Eagles, the Stones. I would watch rock and roll documentaries, like Behind the Music, VH1 shit, and just saw the party. And the one thing I can kind of say, at least for as early as I've been, dude, there ain't no rock stars left in comedy. There ain't no motherfucker. Like, I'm trying to be like Tommy Lee of comedy. Like, we're partying. We're like, after the show, I'm either sometimes I'll go to a show, make my money at a show, and I'll make more money going to a pool hall with fans shooting a little stick and taking them for $100 a game than I'm making the actual show. You know what I'm saying?
I saw you.
I like having a good time.
I saw you whip our good friend Street Bike Tommy's ass for $100 here not too long ago. Yeah. That crazy son of a bitch. Funny thing about him. So he come out to the show in Baltimore there and come in a green room. We were drinking a little bit. And I said, hey, Tommy,
you want to, I said, the opener's going up, then my feature. I said, he's going to bring me up, but do you want it? Maybe he says he's going to bring on Uncle Lazer, and you come out up there and you impersonate me for 5 minutes, just going on. And dude, he did that for 5 minutes and fucking nailed it. I was laughing so hard when I got on stage, dude. I wish we would have got it on film. It was so goddamn good.
Dude, Tommy's one of the best dudes, man. He's just a fucking good time. He's one of those guys you pick up the phone if you fucking need him there, and he can get there. He finds a way to be there. He's a dude, man. Love that guy.
Yeah, I'm trying to get out there. Travis Patronis' place up there. I'm supposed to go to Jared Taylor. Yeah. I'm going with like Jared Taylor and then boys from the Black Rifle Coffee and go up there and do some shit on. Hopefully, I can get in on my schedule. But yeah, they're good people. I enjoyed that very much.
Which speaking of Black Rifle Coffee, I saw you went on the hunt that I've done with those guys a couple times before. The helicopter and the hogs, dude.
Oh yeah,
that's a fucking trip.
Yeah, dude. After this interview, I got to go to my editor's house and get the final edit on it. But yeah, dude, we took a bunch of them OnlyFans girls out there, and them boys hit me up because Matagorda down there. That's where I'm from. Like,
okay,
that's that area. Like I fish down there and catch redfish all the time down there, and them boys in them helicopters. Well, Ashcroft. That was a grand old time right there, man. Dude, son of a gun.
And you don't realize what a fucking hog problem they have down there till you get in the air and see them sons of bitches. Holy shit.
And dude, I posted that little reel on the internet, and you got your PETA activists coming out of the goddamn woodwork going, oh yeah, real guys, shoot them out. I was like, listen, we ain't hunting shit. We're shooting them and leaving them there for the buzzards because all they do, dude, a pack of hogs, a little hyena sow right there, and some piglets. This old woman in my mama's neighborhood was walking to get the mail. She's like 75, 80. She's walking to get the mail. They attacked her and killed her a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, dude, they're pests. They need to be exterminated at all costs.
Dude, look, people that say killing, PETA people that have a problem with killing hogs are also like the same motherfuckers that say defund the police, and as soon as they have an accident, call the fucking cops. Exactly, because you know those PETA people be raising shit. If what you just said, you start having all these sows and hyenas and all this shit out just walking around in your front yard, then what haven't y'all done? Why haven't y'all controlled this? We're trying to. Quit being a bitch about it.
Yeah, and like they think, my daddy, we grew up hunting and shit. First deer I killed, my daddy made to bite the heart out of it. You know what I'm saying? Goofy shit like that. Yeah. And like, we don't just go out there to kill things. Anything we kill, we salvage the meat. We strip it down. We harvest everything, but the hogs, and honestly, you can't eat hogs. People don't understand this. When they get about over 30 pounds, and when they're not the little baby piglets no more, they get so many of them pus pockets around the side of the hindquarters that when you go to clean them, if you pop one of them pus pockets, the meat's destroyed. It's terrible.
Yep. Yeah, no, the thing I've always found best, if you're not killing them by helicopter, if you're just mowing them down, population control again is kind of double down on it. Go ahead and stack them babies up. Let the coyotes come in at night and just go ahead and knock them down with some night vision. That and a damn case of beer, man.
Two for one special, though we call that, old son.
That's right, old boy. Yes,
a twofer, But, you're hunting with dogs? Hunting with dogs is probably my favorite.
Dude, hunting with dogs. So I did that a couple times with some of these organizations that'll bring veterans back. From they've gotten back from Walter Reed, maybe they lost a limb or PTSD or whatever. Hey, let's get them back out, get them back out feeling, like they're doing something. And so I went on cooked for a couple of those, then went out and hunted with those guys with dogs. And dude, that's getting after it.
It's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. That's a different tracking them through. Like we'd run them through the Brazos River down here. You get some of them sections cross, and it's a dead of night. You got a little headlamp on, maybe a little night vision goggle, and you're trying, and your dogs, and you got to get in there and stab them in the side. Dude, it's exhilarating.
Yes, no, it's full on athletics for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I heard you mention baseball. Did you play anything else growing up?
Wrestling, football, basketball. But dude, I was 5'5", 5'6" growing up. 155 pounds. You know what I'm saying? If I was 6'4", 220, I'd be a goddamn president of the United States. You hear me? I mean, your boy had athletic ability for days. I just was small as shit.
Yeah.
You know? So wrestling was cool because I was going up against guys my same size. But
Yep.
at that time, when we got wrestling intimated in my high school, I was a junior in high school. And when you go up against somebody that's been wrestling their whole fucking life, their grip strength and technique is just on another worldly level that you'll never achieve because they've gotten so much repetition in at a young age.
Yes, country strong will only get you so far against
So
an actual
far, yeah.
wrestler. Yes. Yeah, because I wrestled a little bit in high school and junior high, and I loved it, man. What I liked about it was like the shortstop didn't boot something and you lost. Like, you lost, you got your fucking ass kicked. That's just all that happened.
It's on you.
Oh, what's this? I noticed on your Instagram you had posted a couple days ago. What's this Nighthawks documentary thing that's on the rise?
Yeah, so there's some boys. They came down here. I think they're out of LA. Josh Helms and that other boy. But yeah, so basically, the explosion of the Austin comedy scene is going around. Like, I actually know there's like another buddy of mine. He's actually doing a small documentary, same thing. Basically, the Nighthawks. It's a life and a night in Austin with all different subsets of comics that are out here, and it's just while most people are in bed getting ready to go to work next morning, we're out here slanging these jokes in a night process of what goes on in a night of stand-up comedy in Austin. So it's a cool behind-the-scenes look of comics that work at the mothership. Ron Wyatt's in it. I don't know if Hinchcliffe's going to be in it. I know they're working on a couple of things. It's not all the way fully developed, but they're just like, we just want to show an extended look inside, a detailed look of a night of comedy throughout the Austin comedy scene. It's a pretty cool documentary. And these guys, me and Cam, we shot that it's basically like we reshot a scene from that show ATL for Cam's upcoming tour promotion. We made a scene, and when we got out there, he told me, so he's like walking out, he's holding milk. I pull up in a truck, talking shit to him, act like I'm going to shoot him, something like that. But I watched the scene, and when we get out there, man, like, we can remake that scene. But when I got out there and I saw the camera equipment, I saw them boys, and I'm like, oh, these guys know what they're fucking doing. Yeah. So like, this is going to be pretty professional. And then I found out they're the ones behind that documentary. I'm like, oh shit, so this is in good hands. Those boys know what they're doing.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny when you go to do something like that, within about the first 10 minutes, like, all right, is this some guy they found off a, fucking online ad, or is this like a real production company?
Yeah.
That's fun. No, that's interesting. I like that. And I think it comes at a great time too, because I don't know if it's just the way the algorithm hits my accounts, but like for me, social wise, especially on TikTok, I get fed so much comedy. Whether it be whether it be like, you or Dane or Cornbread, but then also like, Shane Gillis, Theo, Chappelle, and it's interesting. Like, I don't know that comedy's ever been hotter. You being in the business, even going back and looking, I know you haven't historically been in the business, but as you look back and hang around, comedians that have, do you feel like that's pretty accurate to say overall that comedy's probably the hottest it's been in a while?
Yeah, I would say, the 80s were pretty good and the early 90s kind of died, and the 2000s were, you had a little bit of that. But I feel like, from what I can see, like when I first got into it, there was a big cancel culture there for a little while. People were getting in troubles and whatnot. But I think we've gotten to a point as a society and to a point where, like, look, man, like, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. If you're trying to be an ignorant asshole, if you're trying to be a dick, then you're going to get taken like that. Like, you can't say something just cruel and mean and just derogatory. Like, you got to have a little taste about it. Like, right. The thing about like comedy now, like, I'm going to go up there and shit on myself. I'm my biggest critic. I'm going to deprecate myself, but I'm also going to shit on other people too. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think comedy is the last true art form of freedom of speech. Like, you can say what you want. And like, I'm not there to say it to hurt somebody's feeling. I'm there to make light of a shittier situation. Right. And I think now people are just getting tired of that. Oh, he said this, blah, blah, blah. Like, look, dude, there's more to stuff that really meets the eye. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta see what someone's really saying. They're not trying to be hateful. They're trying to be funny. And if you're taking it like this, you're an asshole. Because at the end of the day, look, I said retard the other night on stage. I say retard all the time. I made the long bus late. I lived so far out in the country that they send a short bus because it was better on gas. You know what I'm saying? I can say that word. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So and I'm not saying it in a derogatory sense, but we grew up when someone did something stupid. We're like, dude, stop being retarded. You know what I'm saying? And that's just a way of where we were from. I ain't trying to hurt nobody's feelings by saying that, but I am going to say it because it's a part of my culture where I was from and grew up.
And technically we were using it as a verb, not a noun. So quit being so fucking sensitive.
Quit being so goddamn soft.
Exactly. That's actually a huge problem these days. Everybody's so fucking soft.
Everybody's softer than baby shit. I hate it, dude.
Yeah. You talking about, though, the cancel culture. There's one that I probably go back once a year, comedy special I go back and watch because I just think it's so fucking funny. And I don't think there's any way in hell it could get made right now. And that's Chris Rock's Bring the Pain. You talk about, he shit on everything in an hour, but in the funniest, like just
tasteful way,
tasteful, clean comedy way, but just murdered everyone. It was, to me, like, and that's why I think I watch it once a year. Is it just like you said. And the other thing I think was kind of foreshadowing to that I didn't pick up on is the intro of that special. He's got the album covers of like every like huge, Eddie Murphy, Raw, Richard Pryor. Like he's got all those album covers and then his. And I'm like, this motherfucker was foreshadowing like he's going to spend an hour and put himself in that group of fucking performances. And I thought that was pretty fucking badass.
Now that you say that, I kind of, that's a good realization. Yeah. And it's cool to see. It's cool to see like, because now that I'm immersed in it, like I'm addicted to the shit. Every time something happens to me in my life, I'm writing shit in my head, and then I'll get in my little notebook or on my phone and kind of write out that premise. Hey, I can make that funny. So now everything in life that I maneuver, I see it as like a joke or see it like spin it. And to watch them bigger guys that have been doing it for a long time and seeing their creativity and seeing how they go from one thing to another, it's like watching like a golfer coming up, watching Tiger Woods, just his process. And it's like, damn, dude, like that's the level I'm trying to achieve and get to that like level of expertise, just like the way they can maneuver and pick things out and make things funny when it's not that funny, but make it that it's crazy, man. I'm addicted to the shit now.
And that's the thing. That's what I was going to ask you is like, now that you've gotten into it, do you find yourself going back, studying current stuff, studying older stuff, kind of working through what, and what I know you said you're writing, a lot of it's real stories. And, so like if I were to look at your notebook, like what does it look like, Lazer? Like, is it shorthand? Is it stuff all written out? Is it just ideas? And like, how do you go about that process? I've always been enamored by that.
So I got stories for days because I've lived a shitty life. And, but like what I'll do is if I have a thought, and honestly, this is kind of my writing process I've been going through as late. So I'll take an Adderall throughout the day, get my tasks done, stay, fucking let's get my stuff I need to do today done. And at the end of the night, I'll smoke a little weed, take a big ass bong rip and get obliterated. Because weed makes me creative, but the Adderall keeps me where I don't like unfocus on other shit. So I'll take a premise or I've written an idea down. I said like, so I want to write now. The algorithm and AI is scaring the living shit out of me, and I feel like my grandma felt when email and internet first became a thing, right? Like my grandma gave away $20,000. Like she gave $5,000 on 4 different occasions away to those people from Nigeria that would email her about, hey, you got a lost relative in Africa and they got $5 million of your inheritance, but we need $5,000 for the wire transfer. My grandma went to school during segregation. She didn't even have black friends, let alone a black relative in Zimbabwe. Okay. And so I just had that thought today because that really happened. My grandma did it. I'm like, dude, there's a way I can make this funny. So I write the premise out of my phone. I read that over and over. And then I get my notebook out and I handwrite out every single fucking line until I've structured it, formatted it to where it's a smooth one-off joke. Right. And that's kind of my process. I know it's different from everybody else, but that's kind of the way I go about it.
It's interesting because I find myself too just still being a writer. Like whether it be a menu, a recipe or whatever, like I like to write it out. There's something about me writing it. I just remember it better. It flows better than if I type it out. And I don't know if that's just old school or just how I study.
No, it helps doing it that way. Cause I got to a point where like just writing it out on my phone, it's like, no, I need to write it out. And also I write chicken scratch handwriting. So it forces myself to write things cleaner and like where I just go back and read it over. But dude, sometimes some of the best taglines I've ever come up in jokes have just been off the cuff in flow state. Like I have a joke about single mothers. I'm like, the more kids, the better. I like that pussy wallered out, right? But that's all I would kind of end there. But one night I'm saying that joke and on stage I'm like, yeah, I like that pussy wallered out. And then just off the top of my head, it just popped in my head. I was like, because I'm going to be honest with y'all, tight pussy makes me claustrophobic. Right. And that was just in flow state, in the moment, seeing the audience react to what I was saying and just hit them with that. And that just came off the top of my head, you know?
Yep.
And now I use that as a main tag in my joke when I say that joke.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because you're actually, you're using the material, but at the same time, like if something like that happens, you're kind of working it too. You've added one more thing that just took that from an 8.5 to a 9 or from a 9 to a 9.5. You know what I mean? Just,
yep.
And I'm sure that comes with comfort too, right? Because probably when you're first starting, you're just wanting to get through the material. But as you get more comfortable with it, you realize you've got more liberty to add as needed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, one thing I've kind of noticed, and and Matt Rife wasn't the first one to do it, but he made it kind of a thing now, and it's kind of the standard for comedy, at least how crowds are conditioned. I believe, like a lot of people think comedy is just crowd work, right? Like because they see all these crowd working clips because that's what everybody posts. Because the reason comics post crowd working clips because it's a one-off and they don't burn a joke. They don't burn a joke that they say every show, And some comics and some people actually believe that like. You say a different set every single show, and that's not what it is. You don't say, you do pretty much the same set. You add on, take off, subtract. But a lot of people are conditioned now in comedy clubs to be like fucked with. Like that's why people sit in the front. And yes, crowd work, I can do it. Interacting and bullshitting with people is easy to me. I know I've got that in my back pocket whenever it need be, but I want to work on these fucking jokes. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't do a special full of crowd work. Well, you didn't until Matt Rice's going to do a special where it's just crowd work. He's changing the game. Great human being. I love that son of a bitch to death. One of the nicest human beings I've ever met in my entire life. But yeah, it's the way. You're always working, you're always subtracting, you're always adding, and it is a comfortability on stage when you get to a point where it's like you can piss, shit, or fart. It's going to be funny. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's a cool process. It's a cool fucking process.
Proud sponsor of the show, Trollco Clothing. Love what the brand's about. It's all about supporting that blue-collar worker. You know them for their trademark shirt and hat, dirty hands, clean money. It's not just a slogan. It is a lifestyle. Go visit trollcoclothing.com and use my discount code, OldBoyPodcast, for 15% off. I love it. The one thing I was curious about, because I mean, in what I do, I've had days where I've taught, 2-3 hour classes, and it's a long day when you get done with it, but I don't mind doing the same material twice. When you get done with one of these like 3-day tours and you've done 5 shows, that 5th show, are you kind of burnt on it, or are you
not burnt, right?
Right.
Not, I wouldn't call it burnt, but it's like, I'll put you like, this is the way I view it or how I go about trying to. I've seen the Red Hot Chili Peppers 16 times. Okay. I'm a big fan of them. I've seen them 16 times. They've played the same songs every 16 times, but they played a different show every single time. And that's the kind of way I like to bring it up. Like, I'll improvise some crowd working shit at the beginning to be different so that I get the enjoyment of like, okay, I'm running shit. Look at me go. And then I'll get into my shit. I may switch up the order in which I tell the joke. I may elongate one joke and shorten down another just to move like differently. It's the same set, but it's done different. Right. So it keeps me like mentally stimulated because I'm not saying the same shit verbatim like a robot.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not up there doing the same show for the 5th time in a row while juggling because, it's the same thing.
Exactly.
No, that makes sense. That keeps you engaged. And then also, once again, you're working the show, right? So you may go, fuck, I really like how it went in this order. With that elongated, this truncated, then I did that. And I thought that was the best. So I think it's just good reps too.
Yeah, getting it in. And I always feel like because... Like I started in Austin, and I was dog shit when I started, and it took me a while and I'm still not where I want to be. And every day I want to get better, right? You always want to, it don't matter how good you get. Tiger Woods never went, I'm the best in the world. I'm going to stop practicing putting. That's not how that shit works, right?
No.
So every day I want to get better. So it's like, so I look at it sometimes when I'm performing these little spots around Austin, like I still think there's people that saw me eat shit, those many moons ago. And now I got something to prove. So I try to dial in my best shit. And it's hard for me to work newer shit out in Austin just because I'm scared to work newer shit because I don't know if it's funny or not. So I'll work newer shit. I'll do new jokes with my crowds on the road versus how some people, I'm kind of taking the Benjamin Button approach to comedy, which is kind of fucked. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really know if there's a way if it's been done like this, but I'm like, this is how it feels right to me. So let's do that. So a lot of the times I'll do stuff that you wouldn't necessarily do at your own show that you would do it like other people's mics, other people's shows. But I'm like, fuck it, dude. These crowd, they know they're here to see me. Let's have a good time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I feel like too, like if they're true fans, they really kind of enjoy getting to be part of the development process. You know what I mean? They see you work on something, then fucking year later they see it on hopefully on a special, something like that. Like, oh, dude, he was working that with us a year and a half ago. That's fucking awesome. You know.
And they watch the growth because I performed in Houston the other day, right outside where I'm from, and I had a bunch of friends and family come out. And the first show I ever did outside of Kill Tony was in Houston, and I did like 40, 45 minutes, and I had been doing comedy 2 months. They were stupid. I shouldn't have done that. But see, like I come from my daddy was like, get me to the door. I learned how to figure it out, right? Curiosity didn't kill the cat, hesitation did, right? And that works to some avail. Like you get to put your foot in the door, but it's like when luck and opportunity meet, or preparation and luck meet opportunity. Like, yeah, but I wasn't ready. So now I'm like, all right, well, I need to learn how to get fucking ready. So doing that there and falling on my ass, you know what I'm saying? Made me be like driven. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to come back even harder. So when I did in Houston at the Improv for the second go round, I had people going, man, I remember when you told that joke the first time in Houston, and to see the storyboard and to see the development of it is a cool little process. And that shit makes me feel like, all right, I know I'm supposed to be here. I know I'm doing this the right way. I just got to keep getting better. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Totally. I do want to switch gears for a second. I said we were going to hit on this earlier.
Yeah.
The fucking love for professional wrestling, old boy. Where
Christ almighty.
Dude, I was that kid. I grew up, from the time I can remember, 5, 6 years old, fucking Saturday night, Florida Championship Wrestling came on. Dad would burn something on the grill, and we, fucking sit around and watch wrestling. And that's some of my best memories. And then you had the Saturday morning wrestling when WWF was just starting to come around, back when that was WWF, damn it. And and all the and dude, it was just part of our family. Like, we just absolutely loved it. So that's where, I don't follow it now much. I mean, I go to WrestleMania every year just because it's iconic, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to go. And it's good to hang with my buddies, but I don't keep up with it as much now. But dude, in those days, and like that Attitude Era with Stone Cold and those guys, it was just fucking fun to watch, man. It was great TV.
It was entertainment. Like I distinctly remember we go to my daddy's boss's house. He'd get the pay-per-view for his kids. We'd bring us over there. And I remember in between commercial breaks and shit, me and my daddy and my brother are wrestling, like in the damn living room, beating the shit out of each other, just having a time. And when it got to like the ruthless aggressive era, like when John Cena started becoming the main thing, that's when, and I was becoming like 14, 15 and started getting into chasing women and shit. And I stopped watching it. And now though, there are a couple comics in the scene out here in Austin. They're big wrestling fans as well, and they still watch it. And they're like, dude, since Triple H took over and started running the hell with the stories and everything like that, he said, man, it's got a little bit of flair of that Attitude Era again. It's starting to come back, Well, and I'm gonna be honest with you real quick, like. The other day, they're out here in College Station where, A&M's at, there's a wrestling faction out there, a territory, and they hit me up and they're like, hey, man, we're big fans of Kill Tony. We love the wrestling. He's like, why don't you come down and let us teach you, take a class, and like, let's maybe even script a match out. And I'm like, fuck yeah, boy. So I go down there. To the Lions Den Wrestling down there in College Station with Houston Carter. He was a professional wrestler with the WWE and WCW and shit like that. Great dude. I go down there and we script a match. They teach me in 3 days, where they usually teach their students in 8 to 9 months. So I'm getting in. And I tell you what, they're going to take them bumps. It may be fake, but goddamn, it ain't. Because, dude, we script that whole thing out, and at one point I got to get hit with a chair, in the match. And when we're practicing, he's like, hey, man, you got to remember, like, you got to sell it. I'm like, guys, we're practicing. I said, I sell myself for entertainment all the time. We'll be fine. And when the day of the match came, I remember I remember I'm getting beat up so goddamn bad that I'm dying. I'm dying inside. And like, they're like, dude, you're selling it great. I know. I'm like, I'm selling it great because I'm fucking in pain, you know? And it gets to the point where old boy's supposed to hit me with that chair and I can't breathe. I'm like, he's hit me in the back of his chair. I'm going to cardiac arrest right now, you know? And I just found a hole. If I was in my mid-20s, I would have chased that. I had such a blast doing it. And one thing I did not understand until I got into that moment, I thought my entire life the referee was a pawn, just a pawn to be out there to count 1, 2, 3. No, he's the ringmaster.
Yes.
He puts making sure if you get concussed that you get into the right correct spots to finish out this match. And I was like, dude, I have a newfound respect for all the animation and creativity and the physicality of all of it coming together as a head. I was like, dude, this is fucking next level.
Dude, that's badass. That's cool to get to live that out and to do that and have an appreciation for it too. Like watching it from afar, but then actually going in, taking bumps, doing a match. Like it makes you appreciate those guys and think about doing that 300 fucking nights a year, like those boys do. Dude, you know what I mean? It's
I
wild.
was beat up after day one. I'm like, dude, how do these guys do it 3-4 times a week?
Yeah.
You know?
And then it was funny you said that about Triple H earlier. I heard him on Pat McAfee's show earlier this week. And he had said when they move over to Netflix, they're really going to kind of, he even alluded back to more of the attitude area, you know, riskiness storylines.
And I think when I fucking heard that they signed that deal with Netflix, it kind of gave me a little bit of a glimmer because like, you got to think, you know, cable television, you got to kind of have restraints on what you can and cannot show. Netflix is a bought paid prescription, you know. Well, I mean, everybody and their mom got someone else's prescription on their TV, but you know what I'm saying? I'm excited to see. I might even get back into it again just because of storylines. Because now it's like, look, like everybody's watching Game of Thrones. I think it's a goddamn great series. I watched Vikings on the History Channel with Ragnar. I got it tattooed on me. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the greatest show I think that ever was. But it was on the History Channel, so it couldn't be as gory and as graphic and as violent. But when you can add that element to it, you can throw that through the ceiling with how much more you can have by not having any restraints to your creativity. And I think it's going to be great for wrestling. Honestly, I really do.
I do too. Who's if you had to pick one, who's your favorite wrestler?
If you want all around Stone Cold, I mean, as far as persona, his in-ring ability, but I think the in-ring wrestler, the best two in-ring talents was Shawn Michaels. He's one of my favorites, HBK. And I think Ric Flair had the ability to make even the shittiest wrestlers look like gods in the ring. And once you fucking like go through it and you start really understanding the art form of it, it's like what Ric Flair was able to do with some of the wrestlers he was paired with was astronomical.
Dude, some of those, and I realize they're a little old for your age, but I'm sure you went back and seen some of those fucking Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair matches.
Oh, yeah. Incredible.
Holy shit. I do got to tell you a pretty cool Stone Cold Steve Austin story. So years ago, I'm working for Traeger, just started traveling for barbecue, you know, with them about 225 days a year. Stone Cold had just started his podcast, so I'm listening to that when I'm flying everywhere, blah, blah, blah. And he would always just leave. He would always on the podcast talk about cooking his deer meat on this fucking Weber gas grill. And I'm like, dude, I cook a lot of wild game on this, you know, Traeger pellet grill. I know it'd be better. You know, I should just email him. So I just like info at the Steve Austin show, the one that he always rips on the podcast, right? Just send an email. Hey man, this is Chad. I work for this company, blah, blah, blah. Think I got a better, you know, grilling device for you. But, you know, look, dude, really enjoy this, you know, really enjoy the podcast. Enjoy what you did in your career. No catches, no gimmicks. Just if I could help you out, send you a grill. Love to do it. I don't know, like 3 weeks later, Saturday night, like 8:00, I get a call, unknown number. Fuck it. I'm like, look, man, if this is a fucking robo call, then this motherfucker working hard on a Saturday night. I'm at least go hang up on him.
Yeah. Can I talk to you about your car's extended warranty? That kind of shit. Yeah.
And so I pick it up, and he goes, I said, hey, it's Chad. And he's like, Chad, Steve Austin. And I'm like, oh, fuck.
That's fucking awesome. Fucking awesome.
No shit. And he goes, sorry I didn't get back to your email earlier. He goes, and you're going to really hate me after this request. He goes, don't even know if it's possible, but that grill you were talking about, he's like, we're going to start filming in Aqua Dulce's on Monday. Would there be any way you could get me there, and then I'll take it back home? And I'm like, hey, didn't talk to me. I didn't give a fuck if I had to fly out there, rent a fucking truck, buy one at one of our retailers, assemble it myself, and take it out there. We were getting a fucking grill to them. So I said, yep, we'll be there. Tell me what time today. He's like, man, I'll have an hour. This is the time to be there on Monday. Dumb luck, Lazer. I'm supposed to be going to San Diego for a tuna fishing trip. So I call our guy in California. I'm like, look, I need you to get me a grill. I need it built. I need this done. I need you to pick up this stuff from the grocery store. I need you to pick me up from LAX at this time. Thank God the San Diego fishing trip, we don't have to be on the boat till Tuesday at 6 a.m. So old boy picks me up Monday. We get up there, and once we get there, man, I'm moving quick. And because Steve said he only had an hour, right? And I wanted to cook for him. I wanted him to get some of this salmon and some of this chicken. He was eating real clean because they were filming a TV show. And I just wanted him to be able to taste it before I left. And so I'm like 20 minutes into this, man, I'm fucking sweating, busting ass. And he's like, dude, what the fuck you in a hurry for? I was like, dude, you told me I had 1 hour. He's like, dude, I tell everybody that. He's like, I should have told you 10 minutes ago. You passed the test, dude. He's like, we got all afternoon. I'm like, well, shit.
Hell yeah.
All right, let me slow it down and let's cook it right. And so I kind of slow down and we're kind of hanging out in the UTV talking. He's like, hey, buddy, I see your guy keep taking your Yeti cup over there to the trailer and filling it up for you. He's like, what's he putting in there? I was like, Crown and Diet. He goes, man, that shit cost me 2 marriages. I said, fuck me too, Steve. And from that point on, bro, it was, we hung out all day. Ended up going to the podcast at his house a couple weeks later out in Marina Del Rey.
Oh, yeah, dude.
What a nice, just awesome, down-to-earth, just cool guy. And yeah, and for somebody you looked up to and admired your whole life, and then to find out they were that cool and just that down-to-earth and be able to sit there and drink some Blantons and just bullshit about the business, it was a blast. Really, really cool dude.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like when I got into this, like, I've been fans of people before, and every time I had the luxury of meeting them, if they were assholes, it kind of lost its appeal to me. It's like, man, like, like it don't take no amount of money. It don't take no time to take a picture, be nice to someone, shake somebody's hand, and just say thank you. Like the other day, in Philly, I had a show and there was a boy come up to the merch booth after the show and say, hey, man, I don't want to get all sappy on. He's like, I just want you to know, I drove 5 hours to be here because when my daddy was dying, we watched videos and it made us laugh and we shared good moments. And he passed away, unfortunately. But he's like, the fact that you could help me in a troubled time and we could share some camaraderie and share some laughter with your videos, he goes, that meant a lot to me. So and dude, that's better than money. If I can make somebody's day just a tad bit better, I've done one. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't buy that kind of shit.
No, and it's like I tell people all the time too, like, and man, that the road will wear you down. I just got down with a 17-day tour, and you get a dragging about 12, 13 days in, but when that person stops you and wants a picture, wants to ask about this, like, it's like, dude, it doesn't cost a fucking thing, and they're nice enough to want to follow you and be a fan and support you. I don't care how tired you are, how long a day you've had, how bad a day you've had. Appreciate that part of the moment and enjoy that interaction. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because, like, dude, listen, I worked in 120-degree heat in the goddamn desert, 12, 16, 18-hour days. I know what work is. So you mean tell me I just got to get on a plane, go tell a bunch of people jokes on stage, and if they want to come up and shake my hand and meet me, that's work? No, that's not work, dude. That's called
privilege.
Living, Livin. That's living right there, all right? Yeah, I know work. That ain't it. Yeah.
No, I absolutely. I think it's a cool opportunity to do what we do, to do what we love and share it with people, and then people enjoy it on the other side. It's awesome. With the touring so far, any areas that you've just really enjoyed where you're like, man, these people just they get me?
Tampa, Orlando.
My people.
And then, honestly, one of my favorite cities, and it's just because everybody there is pretty. I ain't never seen ugly guy or gal in that fucking city of Scottsdale, Arizona. Son of a gun. That's a different. See, when all the COVID bullshit happened and they's all moving out of California, we got all of California's homeless. Well, Scottsdale got all of California's models. They got all the damn models. Them people out there, they've been kissed by the hands of God because everyone out there is good looking. It's crazy.
No, Scottsdale.
But honestly, I'll be honest with you, some of my favorite places to go, because it just kind of reminds me of home. My grandma ran a beer joint my entire life. So I've been shooting pool and living in a beer joint my entire life. Going to those little no-name towns, little one stoplight, one-horse towns, the middle of nowhere. The whole town's like the other day in Phillips, Nebraska. I was at a goddamn gymnasium where they hold PTA meetings, and they brought in a goddamn trailer that's above so I could see like a stage. And a woman she come in at the meet and greet. She had a sling on. I thought it was a baby in there. She pulled out a Yeti cup of breast milk that she had just pumped in the Yukon outside and had me taste the breast milk with her. It was incredible. It was incredible.
Is that a fucking true story?
Yes, that's a true story. Some of those flyover states are some of the best people in the world because in big cities, you got different walks of life. But in them flyover states, that's 80% of the country. That's them blue collar workers, and that's the people that I know and where I come from. And that's kind of where I like to do most of my comedy at, because in comedy, I found out real quick. Yeah, we're all funny, and you need to be funny. That helps. But being relatable, being to talk to someone and take them to a place somewhere they remember where they're from or they're familiar with. That brings a lot of like energy and positive reinforcement. Like, oh man, so what he's talking about, I've lived. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've all lived it. I just have better hair and talk better. That's all it is.
No, and the cool thing about those small flyover state cities too is like when something like that comes to town, like the city shuts the fuck down. Like
everyone's there. Everyone's there.
It's like Friday night football in Texas. You know what I mean? Like everybody's there at that event. And that's what's cool about it, because the whole community is together and you're like, fuck, I did this by just coming here to this. And that's also a great way of being able to check your fucking ego at the door too. You know what I mean? And go to places where you want to be, where you resonate, and you know that every place doesn't have to be a Philly, a Seattle, a Chicago. You know what I mean? Those are great to sprinkle in, but take care of the home team.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, Bubs.
Really, I just had one more thing for you, and that was just, what's ahead? What can we be looking out for? I know you've got the tour. I know, speaking of Tampa and Orlando, I think it's October 2nd and 3rd.
October.
And
I'll be in Jacksonville.
I put it on my calendar.
I'll be in Jacksonville as well. Yeah, be there, dude. I'll put your name, come back in green room, drink some beers. Yeah, I got the tour. It's fixing to ramp up here, start of July. I'll be up in the Northwest Pacific and shit, and there's just kind of all hands on deck from there. Got a couple little movie promo things. I've started getting a little short film commercial type shit. I signed with an agency out of LA, like a real comedy agency, and they got a lot of inner workings. And I mean, look, dude, I just every day I wake up, I'm like, I'm blessed to do what I do and catch a vibe and just trying to keep my health and my mental shit sharp. But I mean, I'm just fucking throwing darts at the wall until something fucking sticks. I like what I'm doing. I don't necessarily, I know there's something here. I don't know necessarily what the end goal is. I just kind of, at the end of the day, all I want to do is fulfill my potential. That's all I can really ask, right? Like, if I go and know that I left everything out there, then no matter where I achieve and where it gets me, at least I know when I lay my head down to sleep at night, I know that I did everything in my damnedest way of doing it and did it to the best of my fucking ability. And I can go to sleep knowing I did that. So I'm just trying to catch a vibe and have a good time, old son. That's all I'm trying to do.
I love it. And then two real quick. One, now that you've been on the Old Boy podcast, if you had to recommend one or two guys we reach out to and have on that you think would be a good discussion, anybody top of mind?
I mean, I know you said Dane and Cornbread Cowboy. Have you got them boys on there yet?
Yeah,
they've been on this.
Not yet, but they're scheduled. But yeah, I think both those guys would be solid. I've got to do a couple charity events with Cornbread. He's a fucking hoot.
Yeah, he's a hoot, man. He come around and do my podcast, and we went bowling and that motherfucker. We was having a good old time. But yeah, and even maybe some of them boys from that Black Rifle Coffee. I know Jared Taylor and Caleb Francis and all them. Yep. They just, I mean, I just at the Blink 182 concert with Jared and them the other night, and took a little too much acid and got a little weird. But I mean, it would be fine. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's just grand old time. Yeah, but I mean, dude, I would recommend those for sure, for damn sure.
And awesome. And then the last one, just because so many of the old boys and old girls that listen to the podcast are on social media, if you just had to give a general guideline of, because you obviously have a successful account on multiple platforms, just kind of a general, any general advice on people that are trying to grow an account. I mean, the one that I always say is just be authentic, like be who you are, and anything else you would add on that.
So just to go a little bit deeper into that, right? Yeah, be yourself, be unique, be something different, but like be yourself at the same time. But when you go to make a video and you're trying to grow your account, you need to take in consideration from a consumer standpoint. So if I'm holding my phone and I'm scrolling through Reels, you got 3 seconds. The average time, you've got 3 seconds to hook them. So you got to have something that pops. So sometimes if I make a longer format video, I'll take the meat and potatoes and edit, even though it may be in the middle of the video, I'll edit it where that part of that meat and potatoes is at the front end of that video for snap and grab attention, right? Because if I can get you to look, then I can get you listening. Because if I get you for 3 seconds to look, if I can hold you for 10 seconds to listen, 9 times out of 10, I can get you to watch damn near the whole video. So it's just about, if you were scrolling through your phone, when you make a video, think about what would hook you and catch your attention. And when you do that, implement that into what you are filming, and it will help your growth.
There you go, guys. Uncle Lazer helping you have a better social media account.
That's it, baby.
Hey, brother, I had an absolute fucking blast, old boy. It was fun, hearing about how you got here, where you're going, and everything in between, man. I wish you all the best, and look forward to hopefully linking up with you when you get down here in October. Bring you over some barbecue. We'll crush some beers and have a good time.
That sounds like a plan, old son. Thank you for having me.
Guys, I want to thank y'all so much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this one as much as I did, because it was a fucking blast. Till next time, y'all take care. We'll talk soon. Thank you so much for listening to the Old Boy Podcast. Please subscribe, like, set your notifications, whatever you got to do to make sure you're getting the latest episodes. Also, feel free to go back, whether it be YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Get some of the past episodes, check those out, and always feel free to check out our socials, Old Boy Podcast. Thank you so much.